All right. We are live another week again for our National Leadership Series. All right. We are live both on Facebook and on LinkedIn. So I always do my checks just to make sure that we are on and we are live. Right. Just getting the feedback. Nice. We are live on both platforms. All right, guys. So we are going to continue with this 10-part series. We're halfway through. This is session 5. All right, discussing leadership from a national perspective. All right, some weeks ago I decided to do it. In fact, I was thinking about it for quite a while. And I decided to do it starting a couple of weeks ago, just discussing leadership generally. I discuss leadership from a corporate perspective. And these principles that I share, use them all the time in corporate, but there is an application to persons who lead in a national landscape. All right, so that is what we will be sharing. All right, so I just want to say welcome to those who may be logging on live. Thank you for coming on live. And if this is your first time, welcome and thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this session. If this is not your first time, then welcome back. All right. Thank you for continuing on the journey with us. As I said before, we are on session 5, all right, of this 10-part series. And we're here every Monday, 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. All right. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Safia Johnson, for who may not know, and I'm the founder and CEO of Safia Group, and we are a multidisciplinary agency. And what that means is that housed inside of the organization we have persons with different skill sets and expertise that companies can access individually or combined based on the needs of the organization. And really what we do, we love to help our clients nail their next level of success. All right, we always taking them to another level. All right, and our services our services are within the space of accounting, human resource, strategic planning, and leadership development. All right, so I will be focusing on leadership development. All right, most times you're going to see us when it is we post videos or content is generally in the leadership sphere, but we have made a decision that we are going to start to post on our other areas of service so persons can become more familiar with the other things that we do. All right, we do quite a bit of accounting and help our clients, whether it's save on taxes or whether it is help them raise financing for their various projects or different acquisitions of assets that they have to do. We're there with our clients, all right, getting them financing ready. And we have the HR side where we do recruitment and selection, and we have developed HR systems. We do quite a bit of stuff, all right? But today we're going to talk about from the leadership standpoint, and again, leading in the national space. So you can drop in the chat where you are from, all right? And I always talk about DMing me. All right, certainly send me a direct message if you don't want to put it in the chat. And if at all you're interested in meeting with me just to see how we can support your organization, head on across to any one of our websites, safiagroup.com or safiajohnson.com, and schedule an appointment, all right? It's an absolutely free 15 minutes, and we would see whether we are best suited to work together. If we are, we definitely want to share with you how we can do that. And if we are not, we're going to see who in our network might be best suited to assist you. All right. That's how we roll. We always try to help persons. Once you take the time out to have the consultation with us, we do our best to make it worth your time. All right. So we are going to jump straight in. All right. We have been talking for the last 4 weeks on different aspects of leading and leadership in the national space. And before I delve in, I do it every week and I'm going to do it again, just reiterate it. And it's a reason why I do that, because many persons can't help but focus only on one group of persons when it comes to national leadership. But it takes a village to raise a child, but it really takes the national village. It's an entire village behind the people that you see who really make decisions and really actually have a lot of authority and power to make changes to help citizens' lives be better. All right. But because they are out of the public eye, sometimes we forget them and we don't realize that they are very important. And if it is you operate in this space, sometimes you may think that you are not important. You are incredibly important. And you have the power, authority, and the access to make decisions to cause improvement in the service you provide to the public. Do it. All right, do it. So we want to encourage everyone to just step up their game to be stronger and better leaders. All right, so let me just share that and then we're going to jump further in. All right, so when we refer to national leaders, and I'm just jumping right in, guys, because I'm trying to keep it to half an hour, all right, for us to spend some time together, just a half an hour, no more than that. And I always encourage persons, if it is at all you have not seen the videos that we did already, you can go back on my page, either on LinkedIn or Facebook, or you can check on our YouTube channel where we place all of them. So it's an easy space where you would see all the videos that we have put together. All right. So when we talk about leadership in national level, all right, it's really anyone with responsibility to serve the public in some form or fashion. Anyone with responsibility for an area, service, or product that is of significant public interest. Then we have those in government and all arms of government, the executive branch, the opposition, legislative, local government, the boards and CEOs and executives of any public services. It could be electricity, water, transport, protective services, all of them. The boards and executives of state agencies, all right, once they use public money, they are a part of it, all right, and any other similar organization. And then we have the national voices and those who influence the minds of the public, like the media and other influencers, all right, all of them, all right. You don't want to. So I always say that for two reasons. One, to people who are listening in who may not be in that position, you'll become more aware of who are the leaders that really impact what happens in a nation. And then if it is you're listening in and you may find yourself in any one of these categories, but you never saw yourself as a national leader before, that you would come to understand that you are a national leader and you have impact in your given society. All right. So the question is, what are you doing with that impact? All right. And how can you make a greater impact, a better impact while you are there? All right. So hence the reasons we have in these sessions. All right. So last week, I would have given a quick synopsis of the 6 keys to master as an apex leader. All right. And this is in any space, but particularly in the national landscape. All right. And I shared on establishing the leadership around you and establishing the leadership within you. All right. And under each component, there are 3 elements. All right. Talking about establishing the leadership around you. We talked about the people, we talked about the process, and we talked about the principles. So today, I want to focus on the people. All right, people. This comes now under the ambit of establishing the leadership around you. And I've entitled today, "The People Around You Can Make or Break Your Leadership." Because what I realize, hi, good evening. Thanks so much for joining on. What I realize is that people may be very strong leaders, or they may have well-intended plans, but they surround themselves with the wrong people. You cannot accomplish exceptional things as a leader with mediocre people around you. Right? I'll say that again. You cannot accomplish exceptional things as a leader with mediocre people around you. No matter how hard you try, it will always create a challenge for you to get to that exceptional result and that exceptional outcome. In order for you to accomplish exceptional things as a leader, exceptional results, exceptional impact, you have to surround yourself with exceptional people. All right? Jim Collins, in his book, Good to Great, he said good is the enemy of great. And that is such a profound statement. Good is the enemy of great. And good is the enemy of great because many times we become comfortable with things being good enough. And I think in many societies, that is one of the things that plague national service. That's one of the things that plagues sometimes even service to the public, that is good enough, that will do. But we should never be satisfied with just good when there is greatness to attain. All right. And if it's one thing, let me talk. And when I share, I am sharing across the board. So it really applies to any nation, any nation. But let me talk about Trinidad and Tobago in particular. If it is one thing, sometimes I think when it comes to our country, do we speak of our country as if it's a great country? Do we desire greatness for the country? Do we see our country as being great or having the capacity to be great? And this has nothing to do with politics or who is in power, have been in power, will be in power, all of that. We're just talking about as a people. Do we desire greatness for our country? Do we ever see it as being great? Do we ever see it as having the opportunity to be great? All right. And you would see in the US, they talk about their greatness and several other countries because they believe in the greatness of their nation, regardless of whoever sits in that presidential seat. There is a greatness that they believe that they have it in their country. All right. And so the question is, do we settle with just being good? Good is never good enough. Good is never good enough when there's greatness to attain. And if you as a leader who sits in the national space in any one of those positions I would have called out, and you are satisfied with good, you really shouldn't be in that position. You really shouldn't be in that position. You then become a hindrance to what the country can accomplish. And this is across the board, any country, not just Trinidad and Tobago. I'm talking about when you sit in a position of power that can influence the lives of a citizenry, and all you can think about is just what's in front of you and just getting your work done so I can get my pay and go home, or how I can benefit. And you don't see your access and your responsibility and, quite frankly, your obligation to your country or to the citizens of that country to produce greatness from where you are. And I know that may sound aloof or to some people idealistic, but to me, as I often say, a country is not small because of its geography. A country is small because of the mindset of its leaders and its people. So nothing prevents any country from being great. But each person who sit and have control over their area must believe it, must see it, must think the same way. So we should never be satisfied with good. Good is the enemy of great. We should always seek for greatness. And we cannot do great things as a leader with just good people around us. We want to get to that point of having great people around us. All right? So I want to share on 3 things to consider. 3 things to consider as a leader when it comes to having the right people around you. I'll say it again. If you're a leader and you operate in this space, and again, this works even in corporate, anywhere. All right, because I've worked with leaders in different environments: corporate, non-profit, religious sector, private sector, public sector, and I can say this: it is the same everywhere. It is the same everywhere. The level of leadership you surround yourself with, the level of people you surround yourself with, can make or break your leadership. It can make it more difficult, or it can help you to accomplish fantastic things. All right, so 3 things to consider. If you're a leader and you have to find the right people, or even evaluate the people who are around you right now, can they help you get to the next level? Can they help you accomplish what it is you're seeking to accomplish? And if not, then it's time to make the change. It is time to make the change. All right, and we're going to talk about making that change. So making that change, it doesn't always mean to terminate or to fire or to get rid of. All right. Sometimes it is letting people know what is required of them. Being very clear on the expectation you have of them so that they can know to come up to standard, come up to scratch, as we would say. All right. Persons will only do as much as you require of them. So require more. Require more. And when I say require more, I'm not talking about require more in an unreasonable kind of fashion where you're requiring their entire life. I'm talking about require more in terms of the level of output and the level and the quality of the output. It might not even be in the quantity of the output, but it might be the quality of the output. Require better. Require more. Set the standard. And when it comes to private sector is very clear about their standard because at the end of the day, people have choice. People have choice. And if it is you don't come up to standard, customers won't buy, customers don't buy, you don't make your profit, your shareholders unhappy. Simple. Unhappy shareholders change out boards and change out executives. So it's very, very clear. In the public sector space, in the national service space, somehow like we don't have such clarity with what our outcomes ought to be. All right. And once you have that ambiguity, then you have problems. So we need to be very clear on what we ought to be accomplishing and the standard of what we ought to be accomplishing. And if at the very top there is no standard, there is no way that there will be a standard at the bottom. No way. No way. All right. So you as the leader, you have to set that tone. You as the leader, you are the one who have to require that standard and give people the opportunity to come up to standard. And if they don't, if they have no intentions of doing or they don't have the capacity to do, then you might need an exit plan for them. All right. And there is a saying that I absolutely love. No matter how skillful the draftsman or the workman, no man carves on rotten wood. No matter how skillful the workman, no man carves on rotten wood. So you might be requiring something of somebody that they just don't have the capacity to produce. All right, we want square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. And what we tend to do when it comes to public service and public funds, we tend to use these public spaces as a way to reward people for doing different things for us in different environments without a thought for how that would impact your effectiveness, one, as a leader, or two, how it would impact the people you're meant to serve. All right. And that seems to be the way we do things. And then we wonder why we have such difficulty in accomplishing what we have to accomplish. All right. We can't use these positions of trust and these positions of power as a reward for people because they did something for us in one sense. When they don't have the capacity to produce, they will turn around and make you look badly because they are not going to produce the way they ought to produce. All right. So I'm connecting all of these things. All right, I'm connecting all of these things. So let me talk about the three things you need to consider as a leader in terms of having the right people around you. All right, first one is aligned mindset. Aligned mindset. And I'm not talking about people who think this, who just echo what it is you say. Or yes, people, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who have the same philosophy, the same work ethic, the same mindset towards the country, or the same mindset toward the mandate that you have. All right, you want people with aligned mindset. In that, if it is you are going to put somebody to lead or to be around you to help you to accomplish the vision that you would have set, you want somebody who your brains could connect. Your brains could connect. You can have the same type of work ethic. So you wouldn't be expecting something from them that they have no intentions of giving. All right? It is just what it is. So for example, in my organization, when it comes to customer service, that's paramount. Like you just have to be able to serve people. You have to be able to be kind to people because that's just my nature. I will not hire anybody or allow or tolerate anybody who is mean or rough or anything. It's just not my style. All right, because I have a particular mindset towards people. I have a particular mindset when it comes to dealing with people. And so you want people on your team who have a similar mindset. So while you can help change mindset, remember, as an apex leader, you are really bringing in your sphere other leaders. That's really who you're bringing in your sphere. All right. You want to surround yourself with other leaders. All right. And we may not have time in this series to go through leading leaders, which is very different from leading people who are not leaders. All right. But if you're an apex leader, all right, and you sit in the pinnacle of your organization, you are really going to surround yourself with other leaders who would have responsible for leading other people. All right. So you want people who are aligned with at the mindset level so that they get you. So you will be able to synchronize thoughts very easily. We're going to talk about skill set, which is going to be different, but we're talking about that mindset, being able to align in thinking, because people have very different philosophies on how to get things done. There's some people who believe the end justifies the means. That's a particular mindset. All right. There's some people who believe that inherently people are lazy and they need to be beaten in order to work. That's a particular mindset. There are people who believe once you motivate people right, they're going to get the job done. That's a particular mindset. You want synchronized mindset at that level. You want synchronized mindset. Because it's very difficult to move forward if you can't even agree. And you're going to waste tremendous amount of energy and time and resources fighting with your in team. Or depending on the kind of character who comes into your inner circle, they may end up developing a mutiny against you because you didn't take time to choose the right people to surround you. All right? You're talking about somebody, right mindset. Where are they in terms of level of respect? How do they see people? How do they see you? How do they see leadership? How do they see the mandate? How do they see the country? What are their views? The mindset. All right. And you must have that alignment of mindset. Now, the mindset don't have to be exactly the same, but it must be able to be aligned. It must be able to come together, to work together. Because if not, you're going to spend a whole lot of time fighting, wasting time, wasting resources when that energy is supposed to be placed into moving forward. Right? Hope you're following me. And I see a lot of organizations and I see it and I told myself, I'm going to do some more assessments on organizations and to pick apart certain things so persons can see how organizations implode and how things start to crumble. And anytime you see, like, for example, I'm sitting back and I'm looking at the news and I'm seeing certain things occurring and I know it's a leadership issue. It's a leadership challenge. And the challenge may not be always that the leadership is wrong. It may just be that the leadership is doing the wrong things, or the leadership has the wrong people around them. All right? And once you have that occurring, you're in for disaster. All right? So you want people who have the same mindset, meaning when there is fallout or when there is dissonance or when there's disagreement, there is a way that those things are addressed. You want people with aligned mindset. Because if you don't, you're in for a bumpy ride. Bumpy ride. All right? The second thing is, we talked about aligned mindset. The second thing is diverse skill set. Diverse skill set. You do not want a whole set of the same on your team. It doesn't make sense. You as a leader would have certain strengths and certain weaknesses. At the very least, you need people who are strong in the areas that you are weak. You need people who are strong in the areas that you are weak. And it's so important, and I say it all the time, and I would say it again, weaknesses do not make us weak, they make us human. And so to try to avoid or pretend as if your weaknesses don't exist doesn't make sense. All right, because when you acknowledge them, then you are able to find the right support to be around you who can cover that blind side so your weakness don't become a blind side for you. All right. So you want people with diverse skills around you. You have to understand what your organization need, given where the organization is at right now, given what you are seeking to accomplish through the organization, and then who you will need in your team to be able to accomplish that. Sometimes it's not just the run-of-the-mill positions. Sometimes you would need some positions that are completely creative, completely new. You may be looking for a skill set that you might have never had before on the team, but you need it now because you're seeking to do something different. You're seeking to accomplish something different. You're seeking to make a different impact that has never been made before. All right. So you want that diversity of skill set. When it comes to diversity of skill set, you're going to have people who will be challenging you. All right. And as a leader, you should never be afraid or threatened by people bringing a different perspective from your own. You should encourage it. All right. Because that's how you get the best synergy. So if you as a leader feel threatened or genuinely annoyed when somebody brings a different perspective from yours, then you need to check yourself. There is some self-awareness. There are some issues within you, some issues of insecurity, some issues of trauma that you need to address. Because you cannot bring together a powerful team around you, a potent team of leaders who have this powerful mindset, powerful skill set, experience in what they're doing, and then want them to behave as if they're just going to conform. That does not happen, and you should not want that, because you will not get the best out of them. All right, part of that is allowing them to give their perspective, which may be different from yours. It allows you to learn and grow, but you as the leader still have the opportunity to assess and determine, hey, this would work for us, this will not work for us. But you do not shoot something down simply because it doesn't align with your own perspective. All right, that is an indication of an insecure leader. All right, so I'm just calling it as I see it. Anyone who has worked with me, they know that's my style, and I'm going to see it. Because, and again, as a leader, the higher up you go is the less you have people willing to tell you the truth. All right, and because they're not telling you the truth, you're not really able to get to the alpine heights of your ability in leadership. All right, because you do have some blind spots. And so part of being a strong leader is being able to accept views that are different to yours, which the diversity of skill set will bring. All right, and if it is you truly have strong leaders around you, they will say to you, hey, I think we can do this a bit differently. Here's what I'm thinking. All right, and providing that safe space for people to do that. That's how you're going to get the best. That is how you're going to really, really break through a lot of barriers to get to the next level. All right. So you want people with aligned mindset, and you want people with diverse skill sets. Don't have people who have the same skill set as you, who just see things the way you see things, who do things the way you do things. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You will be cutting your own self, ability, capacity, and reach short. All right? Get the people on your team who are different from you in terms of their ability and skill sets. All right? It will make for a more complete, holistic team. All right? And frankly, a far more powerful and formidable team. All right? And the last component to touch on is what I call an excellent hard set. And a hard set is just really, that's how the person is hardwired, right? That's their hard wiring. Excellence is their hard wiring. Remember, I said at the start, you cannot accomplish exceptional things as a leader with mediocre people around you. So you're looking for people where their second nature is to do things excellently. You don't have to tell them to do it. That is their nature. That's what they do. That's how they operate. It's their hard set. That's how they're hardwired. They do things at an excellent level. When you want to accomplish excellent things, you must have excellent people around you. And if you as a leader, or if it is you, allow anyone else on your team to belittle or to make feel badly someone who wants to do things at a high level, then you need to check yourself. And you need to check that person who's making them feel badly. Because excellence will help you to accomplish excellent results. All right? You want people on your team who are excellent in what they do. And I will tell you this. Some people have it and some people don't. And I firmly believe that everybody has something in some area. But you may have somebody in the wrong area. And when they're in the wrong area, no matter what they do, they will not produce excellence. There is a piece of research that says it takes far more, it takes far more energy to go from poor to average than it does to go from good to great. It takes far more energy to go from poor to average than it takes to go from good to great. What does that mean? If it is you are poor at doing something, because we're not all great at everything, there's some things that are just not our skill set. It's just not in our wheelhouse. No matter how hard we try, it's just not, we didn't come with that design. And you can try long and hard your best at it, and at the pinnacle, you're going to be average at best. You'll be average at best. With all that hard work, with all that effort, with all that time, you're going to be average at best because it's just not your wheelhouse. Instead, if you take that same time and use a fraction of it, and you start off focusing on something that you're already good at, all right? The wrong pegs in the wrong holes and the square pegs in the square holes, you are going to shoot to above average, excellent, great. That's where you're going to shoot to. All right? So you have to understand that you want people around you functioning in the area that is their natural skill set, because that's the only way excellence would come out. If you have someone around you, and you would see it as a leader, you're going to be working with people, you're going to be telling them the same thing over and over, you're going to be expecting something from them. And at best, they're going to give you average. At best, they're going to give you average. It means that they're in the wrong place. They're standing in the wrong position. It's not that they can't be excellent in something, just not that. And I'll do yourself a favor and do them a favor and allow them to find that thing. All right? But if you keep them on your team, you are going to mess up your leadership run. All right? Because the people you have around you can make or break your leadership. All right? So just to summarize, you're looking for people who have an aligned mindset with you. All right? Mindset. How they view things, how they view leadership, how they view the organization, how they view people. You have to make sure to align with you and what it is you believe should be for the organization at that point in time. Then you want persons with diverse skill set. It is very, very important. You don't want more of the same. You want people who can cover you in different areas, especially areas of your weakness. All right, and lastly, you want people who have excellence as part of their heart set. It's hardwired into them. They do things excellently. Right. You have to practice excellence until it becomes your natural. It becomes natural or your default. Agreed. But the key there, though, you have to make sure you practice it in the right area, in an area where you have the capacity to become excellent. Because there are some things, if it's not in your natural design, if it's not a part of what you do or what you were meant to do, no matter how much time you spend on it, right? And they did the research on it, at best you would be average with all the practice. All right. So once you put that focus on an area that you have the capacity to become excellent in, then yeah, you want that excellence to become second nature. But you want people who want to be excellent and willing to do what they need to do to be excellent. All right. When you surround yourself with the wrong people, you are in for a bumpy leadership ride. And I look around and I can tell many organizational leaders in the public sphere, in the private sphere, even in the non-profit sphere, you see the challenges they face because they have surrounded themselves with the wrong people. Not that they themselves don't have the capacity to be great leaders, but they will always struggle because they don't have the right people around them. Sometimes we choose based on relationship. We choose sometimes just based purely on trust. Let me just, as I'm winding up, just make this point here. Now, trust is a very powerful factor. And sometimes we choose people simply because we trust them, but the person cannot help you. So the point is, having them close as an ally is so important because you trust them, so you can confide in them. You know, those different things, but depending on what their skill set and ability and mindset is and their ability to do things excellently, they may not be the best people to put in a particular position. All right. So you have to be very careful with just plopping people into positions simply because you trust them. All right. You might be able to trust them in terms of being able to be a confidant or they have your back and all these different things. But do you trust them in terms of their competence? All right. When it comes to leadership, you must trust people's competence and their character. You may trust their character. But if it is they're not strong in terms of what they're supposed to do, they're going to mess you up as a leader. All right. So it's better you keep them as a confidant and get somebody who has the competence to put in the area. All right. Yes, you must trust the people. All right. Because in the national landscape, because of all the political everything, all right, it can create a lot of mistrust and distrust in this space. And people may close ranks and just want to pull people who they know and who they trust and who they can rely on. But the people are not strong in getting the work done. All right, so we want to be able to mature. We want to mature as societies and mature as national service entities that we can have people who are strong in what they do, who are qualified, who are excellent, experienced in what they do to get the best service to the public. All right, we want to get to that point. Yeah. So, guys, that's what I wanted to share with you today. All right, these are just tidbits. And the thing is so deep, so wide, that it's not really possible to share all of it over a live. We'll be going for hours, right? And when we work with clients, we go deep into it, and then you will be able to see how deep the rabbit hole goes sometimes, right? And how many different factors impact the right strategy that you implement as a leader. All right, because there are many, many factors. It might be one slight element that brings a big change to your strategy that you want to implement as a leader. All right, so putting that out there, when it comes to leadership, who you surround yourself with can be a big make or break factor for you. All right, and you may be fighting to show your excellence as a leader because you are so tied up and preoccupied dealing with the wrong people around you. Get the right people around you. And how you get the right people, either the wrong people around you have to become the right people, make clear your expectations, give them opportunity to come up to scratch. If they don't have the capacity to come up to scratch, then they need to exit stage left. All right. And get the right people around you. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, certainly put it in the chat. I will pass back. And if there are any questions, I will answer it. Or as usual, you can send me a private message. Someone did send a message to the team on talking about disability, all right, and disability in the national leadership space. And so I would look at it a little bit closer and determine if it is, I can fit it in. And disability is just one element of the whole diversity, equity, and inclusion discussion that we also need to be having at the national level. All right, and whether I would be able to do something on it within this national leadership series, or whether I would do something separately apart. All right, but the whole DEI, the diversity, equity, and inclusion discussion is also important for this space as well. All right, and what does that mean in a national leadership space? All right, so guys, I want you to continue to share this information. Share it if you believe someone would benefit. You can share it with them privately, or you can share it publicly on your page. We are going to upload it on our YouTube channel as we usually do. And guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for the comments. Thank you for just taking your precious time, right, and spending this time with me. And I wish you all the best in your leadership endeavors. And again, if you have any questions, any concerns at all, we are here to help you. Leadership doesn't have to be lonely, as the saying goes. All right? Peace out. Have a great night. Bye.